Everybody, welcome back. My name is Yumble, and today I'd like to talk to you about how I approach the Steam Workshop, how I organize collections, how I approach using mods from the Steam Workshop, different best practices, tips and tricks to get the most out of the Steam Workshop. All of the mods and assets that you're going to see are user-created or community-created. They're all free in the Steam Workshop. They all get updated for free. I do recommend supporting the content creators that produce this. The community members that create the mods and the assets that we all use are amazing, and they deserve support in whatever way they list in their descriptions. But everything that you're looking at is free to use, but I want to show you how to get the best value out of the Steam Workshop. Let's do it. The first thing I'd like to do is tell you why I use the Steam Workshop. One, it's because I bought Cities Skylines through Steam, and I actually recommend that you do too. Here's why. Many of you probably got the game for free in other launchers from other companies. That may be the case. The reason that I recommend spending money on a game that you may have got for free so you can get it through Steam is because the mods that you subscribe to get updated automatically. So what this means is, for instance, we've got this recent mod, Inner City Bus Control from Bloody Penguin. I don't need this right now, but I like the idea. That's pretty cool. Here, just in general, the Steam Workshop works on a subscription system, so rather than hitting a button that says download and then moving the given mod to a folder in your file system, what this does is it does that. You know, you hit subscribe, and it's putting the mod file that's changing the game into a specific destination, a specific file path in your system, and cities can read that. But what's really beautiful and what makes it distinct with subscribing is that if Bloody Penguin decides to update this mod, if there's an update to the game that the developer pushes and all of your mods are out of date, you are going to have problems. So this is great because modders are constantly creating for the workshop and also updating their mods to be compatible with the latest version of Cities Skylines. If you do this process manually, you'll find yourself having to create lists of what mods you use, going in, re-downloading the latest version of the mod, copying it to the given folder for every time the game gets updated. That's insane. Like, that's so much work. If you do it in the Cities Workshop, the Steam Workshop for Cities Skylines, it's automatically going to push updates to broken mods and broken assets as they come out. I think that's brilliant. The other beautiful thing about the Steam Workshop is that you've got this dialogue going on. You've got a community surrounding cities and a bunch of content creators that are making mods and assets for you to use, right? For free. I recommend supporting them. But you also get this dialogue where you can give them feedback. You can give them direct feedback on how their mod helped the game, how it, maybe caused an error, how it, whatever, you get to let them know how their mod affected your game, or ask questions. I think questions are really powerful. I see a lot of mean stuff in this, honestly. So be nice to your content creators, please. They make really nice stuff and they give it to you for free. So, be kind. Let's talk about some best practices when using the Steam Workshop. I strongly recommend running it in your browser. So you'll see that I happen to be using Google Chrome here. Whatever your browser of choice is, your web browser, I would recommend using a web browser that's logged in with your Steam account rather than using the Steam browser. I've found that the Steam browser is really chunky and cumbersome and not too great at navigating, in my opinion. Maybe some of you use the Steam browser solely, like there's a web browser that pops up when you go to the workshop through the Steam application down here. I would recommend you can literally Google Cities Workshop. If you Google the words Cities Workshop, the first and second link that come up are going to be for the Steam Workshop for Cities Skylines. Bookmark that, and anytime you want to change your assets, click that link rather than using Steam. I also strongly recommend, I implore you, do not have the game running while you're doing this. Do not subscribe to mods with the game running. Do not unsubscribe from mods. Everybody says, my pavement disappeared. My surface painter markings have all disappeared. You did that. You unsubscribed or subscribed to a mod or an asset while the game was running, and it affects things negatively because you're literally changing the file system of the game while the game is running. Not good, so don't do that. That's a best practice for sure. As I said earlier, the way that this works is you subscribe. So you pick a given mod or asset. Assets are objects that get used in-game. Mods are changes to the game files. So two distinct things. This is a mod, happens to be a mod. The way that it works is a subscription system. You subscribe to the mod, and it automatically will download when you open up Steam. It also means it'll automatically update, like I said earlier. Read the description. Everybody, there are comments in the mods themselves, and then there's comments on the stuff that I make. So I make YouTube videos, right? And I'm on Steam. A lot of the issues that people have when they say, Yumble, you recommended this mod, and it was supposed to be the greatest mod in the world, but it didn't work because of some reason. 99.999% of that can be avoided by reading the description. Read the entire description. Every single time you use a mod or an asset, read the description and check compatibility. Like, please make sure that it's compatible with all the mods you already use, or if you find an incompatibility, factor that in mentally because that's going to affect things. Also check the comments, just like I said earlier, that feedback thing, that dialogue. If you're seeing a lot of people having issues and you think it's kind of a credible issue that you might run into, then, you know, go into it knowing that rather than subscribing to a random mod, not reading the description, not reading the comments, coming out the other end going, Yumble, why'd you tell me to do this? When it's like, oh, because a lot of my responses are, oh, in the description it says this, you should read it. Like, I'm sorry if it sounds silly, but it's not. Read the description. Also, this little box over here, required items. These are your dependencies. So this happens to require Harmony, which is just a general mod dependency. It's kind of a plug-in for Unity that allows a bunch of the mods in your game to work, and it's actually super duper important. So ensure that you have all the required items. With assets, it might be AC units. You know, this is another single required item. A lot of given mods or assets will have a series of required items. Okay. I like that high school, but it doesn't have any doesn't suit my purposes right now. How about this? Okay, platform light. This will often be a list. If you're downloading a map, it'll be a list including trees and networks and everything. Go through. If you're going to subscribe to something, I recommend clicking on each one and seeing if there's sub-dependencies as well. This one requires custom effect loader. Down the rabbit hole we go. And we've reached the end. So in order to use this building, you actually need to install the platform light, which means you need to install custom effect loader. So always make sure that you get the dependencies for mods and assets, especially mods. Assets, they may be optional. You don't know until you know. So I'd recommend getting or at least being aware of required items for using a given mod. Also, one final note on this, check the age of a given mod. If you search something up and you find the coolest mod, like, I don't know, it doesn't matter. I'm going to find anything. Any old, most popular all time. Okay, Move It. All right, here's a little known mod. Move It, I've heard of that. It was last updated March 8th. That's amazing. This iteration was originally posted January 9th, 2019, which is fine. It's been, at the making of this video, it's about 2.5 years ago. That's great, but it's also been updated March 8th, which was only a month or two ago, which ensures that it's compatible with the latest version of Skylines. Always check these things every single time. If you subscribe to something from 2015 and it says, you know, the name of the mod or asset, and it says depreciated or whatever, irrelevant, if in parentheses it says use new version, be aware of that. So check the date and double check the comments anytime you're subscribing to anything old, because oftentimes old things will not work in the current version of the game. The game has changed so very much. It's been updated so many times. Do yourself a favor, read the description, check the dependencies, check the comments, check the date, love yourself. Moving on. I'd like to talk about some more organizational aspects of the Steam Workshop. I think the interface is pretty clunky and a little bit dated, but what it does is really good and you can use it to your advantage. Creators and users of the workshop can make what are called collections, and if you want to see a given creator's collection, I think my favorite way to search the workshop, in fact, in general, is to Google. So check it out. I'm going to type in my name. And I don't even have that many things. I don't even have that many things in the workshop, but you'll see within a few links, you'll see my Steam community. That's all well and good. That's me. Workshop items. So you can Google your favorite creator, click workshop items, and you'll be able to see all of their contributions to the workshop. Mine are fairly modest. More to come probably. I'm more of a video maker than a thing maker, but I'd love to do more interchanges. But this is how you can find your favorite asset creators' assets very, very quickly and not have to deal with the poorly optimized search, the not really very optimized search of the Steam Workshop. But here's the important button, collections here. So if you want to see somebody's collections, a lot of people say, Yumble, where are all your mods and stuff? They're in the collections. They're linked in my About page on YouTube. That's how you can get here also. Go to the About page. But these are all of my collections, right? So I did one for utilities and services, vehicles, networks, transit, parking, maps, buildings, education, parks, page 2. Interchanges, okay, where are the pictures? Doesn't really matter. Interchanges and mods. The mods are the kind of the holy grail collection. The rest are all assets, but these are all the different things that I use. So feel free to check out my stuff, but you can make your own stuff is the real point. Let me figure out how to make a collection. 1 second. Remember how I said the workshop is kind of cumbersome? Well, welcome to it. It's a little inconvenient, but you go to the main page here. So let's say this is the Cities Skylines workshop page. So Google Cities Workshop and it'll be the first and second link will bring you here. The way you create a collection is hover over Browse, click Collections, and then create a collection. A reason you might want to create a collection is for sharing purposes. That's mostly why I make collections, is because people want to know what mods and assets I'm using. So that's really good. Maybe you just want to make a collection of like mods for my new city. Whatever the case may be, it's just a collection of mods for your new city. You don't want to oversubscribe to mods. You want to have a collection just for you, so you can load that up when you load your new city. That's great. Maybe you pick, let's see, what do we have? That's pretty terrible. So you pick an image. I picked an image of my face. That's great. You can describe it and just say mods for Parkville, whatever your city is called. That's a good example. These are items that will work together, and it'll show a subscribe all button up in the corner. The subscribe all button, just for the sake of example, it'll look like this. Where are my collections? Files I've posted, collections. These are my collections, and that subscribe all button, I can click my mod collection, and this subscribe to all, unsubscribe to all. These buttons are here. Be leery of those. If you're staring down the barrel of a collection that has a subscribe to all button, nothing is guaranteed, and I do not even recommend doing this on my own 100-item long mod collection here. Do you remember what I said about dependencies and reading the description? If you're hitting subscribe to all, you're not checking the dependencies, you're not checking the description. I still recommend going in and clicking on each mod and ensuring that they're all compatible, because I don't even use every mod on my own list. There we go. I'm not using that because it causes errors right now. So go zoning adjuster. I don't use it. It's incompatible with this. Adaptive roads was causing errors. So these are mods that all may work well in the future, but right now I'm saving them in my collection until that day comes. But that's what this button does. It gives that subscribe to all, unsubscribe to all button there. Or you can get rid of that button. Items that users should choose between. In this case, it would be like a mod collection and a map, whatever designation you want. Save and continue. And now you're allowed to add the items that you want to use in that collection. And that's great. The way that I recommend actually doing this, there's a better way. So this is the collection in question. Maybe I'll go back to the main workshop. Here's the best way to add a mod to a collection. Click on the given mod, go to the page. This is Intercity Bus Control from earlier. You can do add to collection. Check the box of the thing that you want to do once you've created the collection. So let's I don't think I've published it yet, or I haven't finished it, but once I've made it to the end of these things, the image, the publish, all that, then there's a thing here. Oh no, it's already there actually. Mods for my new city. I'm not actually going to create this, but mods for my new city. You can check it there and hit OK, and then this mod will show up in that given collection that you've just created. It's really powerful. It's easier to maintain than it is to start initially, in my opinion. So the sooner you start making collections for your city, the happier you'll be when you decide to switch cities and then come back to the original city. Or it's really, like, I can keep up with all of my collections, no problem. But if I had to go back and redo them all, I would be pulling my hair out. So start this as soon as possible. Rip off the Band-Aid, start making collections, start taking care of your mods. You finally did it. You did it, didn't you? You subscribed to everything. Every asset, every mod. You're crazy. Why'd you do that? Now it's time to manage all of it. So this is the City Skylines main menu. We've just subscribed to a couple things, or we just made some changes, whatever the case may be. The content manager is now the place you're going to want to go. Mods, when you download them, are not active by default, which is distinct from assets. Anytime you download an asset, it's automatically deemed on in City Skylines. I'm not sure how it works across games or anything like that, but it's automatically turned on if it's an asset. Mods are by default off. So if you've subscribed to a new mod and you're wondering why it's not working, you can go in and hit enabled, order, descending, and you can see the mods that are not on right now. Like, look at this. I got new cube maps. That's something I haven't talked about on YouTube yet. Skyboxes. You want to change your sky, get a cube map. I'm going to turn that on. Real time, not using it right now. Love it, not using it right now. I'm going to leave it off. That's intentional. Hard mode, we're going to leave that off. You know, that's okay. I'm inexperienced. That's what it is. More challenge for experienced players. Sorry, noob. Everything else is on. So the rest of the list is going to be on. So that's a clever way. Sort by enabled, order descending. A good way to organize your mods and see which one is not turned on yet, right? And remember, you have to turn them on for them to appear in-game or for their options to exist in-game. So that button's going to be grayed out, and the mod is dormant. It's in your system. If it's on this list, it is downloaded, but it is not engaged. A lot of mods that are conflicting or that shouldn't be installed together should be unsubscribed. So you can click this to unsubscribe, which is just as good as unchecking the subscribe button in your browser. You can do that here. You can do it just as easily in your browser, but everything's here also. So if you want to uninstall something entirely, then get rid of it, especially if there's a conflict and you know that there's a known conflict between an important mod for you and a mod that you have that's turned off. Just get rid of it. Frankly, I don't have a good example of that here. Most of my mods are turned on. But if there's conflict, just unsubscribe. Just say no. You know, I think that's the best way to do it, rather than just unchecking. Another key thing about this, so let's go into assets. The workshop is a two-way street. I've only talked about downloading stuff, but you can also share stuff. I think if I go to the bottom, I'll see some of my... No, there we go. Hey, so these are some of my local intersections that I've created. These are, you know, it's been almost a year, but I made them. I've made others since. I'll make more in the future. When that time comes, when you use the content creator, what would it be called? The editor. So you can open up the editors. I usually use the asset editor to make interchanges. But let's say you've created a theme or a map or an asset or a scenario, whatever the case may be. When you save that, it's going to appear in your local asset list here. When you hit share, it allows you to put your work into the Steam Workshop, and this is how it's done. I'm not actually going to commit to this because I've already shared it. You can change the you can redesignate the photo that comes with it, things like that. Add some branding, whatever you got to do. But when you hit publish, this goes to the Steam Workshop, and it is live for people to download and critique effectively. So I strongly recommend creating some stuff and sharing it in the Steam Workshop just to add to that sense of community and get some feedback. And who knows, maybe people will really like what you did. I'd like to highlight one mod specifically, real quick. Mods listing will save your life. If you find that, let me give you a scenario. Let's say you have a set of mods that you like to use when you load your game, and you have a separate set of mods that you like to use when you're using the asset editor, because some mods don't agree with the asset editor, but work perfectly fine in your city. Use mods listing. You can get this from the Steam Workshop. Hit options right here. You can do this in-game too, I think, but I would probably recommend doing it here. You can create a list of currently activated mods. right? And not just mods, assets and district styles too. I underestimate the power of this. I don't even use it for that. It's worth its weight in gold just for mods. Enter the name of your current configuration, whatever you currently have access in the previous window, whatever you currently have enabled will be saved under whatever name you give it. And I will save that and I'll overwrite my previous configuration. So Yumble 1.0, I've only ever used one configuration and I keep updating it, and then I'll make a bunch of changes to it, and then I'll always come back to the same one. And you can hit apply on game restart, and essentially what this really does, oh my goodness, 112 mods, 21, 29 assets, 4 district styles, look at them all. What this does is automatically checks off all these boxes for you. So it's kind of like hitting enable all, but it doesn't have to be all of them, or disable all, but it doesn't have to be all of them. That'll save you a lot of time if you find yourself using the same set of mods frequently, but wanting to change back and forth between configurations. Using mods listing combined with collections is extremely powerful, in my opinion, in organizing your Steam Workshop experience. That's a wrap. That's how I use the workshop, and that's how I organize all of my mods and assets and keep track of everything. I think subscribing to things responsibly is important. I keep saying read the description. Make sure to subscribe to dependencies. Be aware of conflicts. Be aware of depreciated mods or updated mods. So you're subscribing to the right things so you don't cause errors. There's a troubleshooting video that I'll probably have to make eventually. I hate troubleshooting. I hate doing it, but you'll have to do it sometimes. But you can avoid that by reading things correctly. And also, unsubscribing from things can be important too, because we all have a finite amount of RAM in our computers, right? But I appreciate you listening to me. Thanks for learning these things, and feel free to discuss it in the comments. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. I've got a bunch of other videos about how I use the mods in-game. This one was just kind of a necessary explanation of the fundamentals of modding City Skylines through the Steam Workshop. I really appreciate you listening to me. I've been Yumble. I'll see you in the next stream or the next video.